Alrighty, so I just sent the document that we'll be editing in the comments section. Um, I'll go ahead and pull it up on the screen too. Hold on just a sec. Alrighty, looks like we have Hillary on there. So did you guys find this week's assignment like pretty ambiguous?
Yes, actually, I had a little bit of difficulty with this one.
Yeah, the other ones I was able to find an example pretty quickly, but now I'm I had to think about it for a little bit. So I'm gonna grab the link. Alrighty. So what are some of your examples?
So mine was actually a written one, but it was also an implied contract. Mine was somebody writing a check to somebody else and putting loan on the bottom because then it's implied loan. But even though it doesn't actually dictate what the repayment period is or any of that.
Okay. What about you, Hillary?
Did you say Hillary?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Let's go down the line.
Mine was going to the doctor's office. You consent to seeing the doctor and paying for the treatment, and it's not written. And the doctor's consenting because he's, going to treat you, and then he's going to give you your bill.
Yeah, that's what I basically is the situation that I thought of. And Melanie, what was yours?
I thought of that one too. The other one that just came to mind while I was reading is paying insurance premiums. There's an implied consent that the insurance is going to pay their portion, which we all know they never do. But
Not unless you can strong arm them anyway.
right, they seem to wiggle out of it. But I don't know if that would be implied.
It might help, guys. And sorry not to interrupt you, but a couple of you guys have your mics not muted while she's talking, so it's just bad feedback. I can't hear anything anybody's saying.
I've got headphones on, so shouldn't be a problem. I think it went away now. So
I think it's okay now.
Yeah, Melanie mentioned having, paying premiums with insurance, how they don't necessarily agree to pay. How about yours?
Mine was actually a personal example. My wife and I, after we moved from Rexburg to Texas here, we had to find a doctor really quick for her to go see. And the doctor had us pay a big down deposit like before we even met with her and had any visits. And so we did. And then we had some issues with insurance and we ended up having to switch. And so I guess it's kind of the opposite. Like, since we paid but didn't see the doctor, we expected to get our money back. And the doctor fought forever to not pay us our money back. And we were like, you didn't even see us. So where's our money?
I think it's still a good example because, I mean, it was implied that you would see the money or see the doctor have the money returned based on the situation, but it wasn't the case.
Yeah, it was a big hassle. Good thing we did get it back, but the sample doesn't care about that.
Yeah. So mine was this situation that I contrived. It's Bill works for a mobile detailing company. Each morning he drops off his personal vehicle at his friend Fred's extended driveway before getting picked up by his boss, who lives down the street. I said that Fred and Bill wave to each other each morning as Fred collects his morning paper, but eventually Fred decides to have his friend Bill's car towed. So it's kind of a situation where like Fred knew about it and was seemingly okay with it, but then eventually decided he wasn't. So what about you, Ben?
I've had several examples with Rexburg Apartment where there is a definitive violation of the contract by the apartment complex. And these are personal examples where I've had I was in school for 2 weeks and dropped out, living at a contracted apartment when I dropped out because the school requested that I not be at school. I was put on an academic suspension, which is a change in academic status, not something that's necessarily in my control as far as the purview of the contract. And in the contract has protection for me as a student who, if I am academically suspended, I'm not required to fulfill the rest of the contract or the rent, but they still tried to send a lawyer after me to get the full cost of rent when I only lived there for 2 weeks. But that contract protected me from it. So I may be missing what we're trying to get from the example because I didn't get 100% prepped here. So I'm sorry about that. But I hope that was actually an example you were looking for.
Yeah, I think that was in the same section, that sort of example. Something that's written down, in this case where he had a contract. I think I like Palmer's example. I think that's probably the best non-written agreement to that where it was expected by the actions of the doctor's office that he would either receive the visits or have a return of his money or a refund. Does anybody?
So we were looking for an implied verbal contract?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, okay. I can think of a couple things, but give me a second. I'll come up with something. Unless you want to forge ahead, but I'd just go ahead and forge ahead, and if I come up with something, that is. But.
Yeah, I'm fine with just forging ahead. I mean, this isn't the right one. Yeah,
ready when
implied
go ahead. Don't hold it all up on my account.
Oh, no problem. I just figured I'd take a look to make sure it's the thing. Alrighty. Or do you have access to this? To the document?
Let me see.
Because if you could go ahead and just copy and paste your example on there, then we could probably make it happen faster.
Okay. Let's see. I hope I actually wrote out my thing. I know I did it late last night, so I was just like speed.
Getting it down.
Yeah, I probably. Oops. Oh yeah, I definitely generalize this. Here, I guess I'll go ahead and post it, and you can add actual meat to it.
Okay.
There we go.
Do we all have access to this Google Doc? Because I don't think I do.
You just put it in the chat, see the notification. Put chat and the links there.
Yeah, if you look at the comment,
I'm not actually showing it in my Google Docs. So I'm only showing week 3, chapter 19, not week 4.
oh, I put the URL inside the chat for this meeting.
Just kidding. Oh,
That should take you directly.
okay, so that's going to be,
And if we don't have share permissions on it, by being invited, we won't be able to edit or add anything to it. So
I
be
changed
aware
the
of that.
permissions to anybody who has the link will be able to. Yeah, anyone with the link can view. Let me see. There we go.
I don't know if this is relevant. We can delete or change any of this if we need.
Now, where would you like help on filling things in here? Because we can record. Are we supposed to record us all sitting listening to it, or what is the intent behind the HOA?
I mean, at least in their past 2 meetings, usually we'll discuss each topic. So like each goodness, what is it? Each bold statement. So our example, explanation of example, quiz question, etc. As a group and decide on what we want to do, and then just move on to the next one. As far as we understand, I think that's the way we're supposed to do these, but who knows?
Oh yeah, because we do want we do have the quiz question we're going to generate too. So
Yeah. So usually following it down the page allows us to cover everything.
So you can doctor that up and change it however you want, or add or take away from it, whatever.
I think that pretty much sums up the implied by act.
and what about the case presentation as well? Because there's the study guide, the study group thing, which is being worked on now, and then as far as the case presentation, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to catch up on what's going on with groups and stuff.
No
Sorry
problem.
if I get extra questioning.
So
Figure out how I can be here and contribute.
our
I think the explanation.
go ahead.
I said I think the explanation would be that the deposit would be refundable, or they believe that the deposit would be refundable because they never saw the physician.
So our group presentation isn't actually this week. It'll be next week. And then it's just whatever topic he asked us to present on. There's a list. I think if you follow the links.
I see that's due on Thursday, so that's why I was
Yeah.
asking.
So let's see here. I was looking at it earlier. Let me see if I can find it.
I'm pretty sure there's one due every week, but if it's not your group's turn, then you just view them.
Yeah, so here it is. We're group 8, so we have the week 5 case, Parker versus 20th Century Fox. So we'll just do this presentation be a basically using the HOA to present to the class. Anyway. So is this a sufficient explanation of our example?
You could say it was an implied contract because of the fact that money was exchanged, but no formal agreement was made.
All right, what should our question be?
I was wondering if we wanted to do something regarding the difference between implied in fact and implied in law. Like, I like the example in the reading about the doctor who assists the unconscious person
And then
and then sends them the bill.
Yeah. We could use that as one of our answers. Like have implied in law as one of the answers.
Yeah, like you could even give that exact example. I mean, if you want it to be easy for them. I don't know how tough we want to make it, but. Or you could just state the definition of implied in fact. You know, how it's manifested by conduct rather than words, and say this is an example of implied, having your answer either be implied in fact or implied in law.
And then there's the matter of acceptance of the contract. Did the doctor's office or I don't remember whose example it was, but did that party's acceptance of the contract was it a verbal was it 100% verbal, or was there silence, or was there just kind of a, okay, we're going to take an appointment as a sign of acceptance? Like, what was exchanged kind of thing to acknowledge the acceptance?
Isn't them like taking the money, them saying, okay, we'll see you?
Yes, but also they would have given you like an appointment card. They would have given you some kind of physical reminder. They may have given you a phone call to remind you about your appointment. There's a lot of ways they could have accepted, because they're accepting payment, but they also had to have accepted to see you, not just by that payment. That payment is the deposit for you to set up an appointment. So
That's right, because implied
kind
by
of gray area and wiggle room there.
well, implied in fact is all about conduct. So it doesn't mean there's any kind of written contract, but it's them accepting money and making an appointment for you, and actually wouldn't include the physical visit of the physician if that had happened, or lack thereof.
You're coming through every like second word because it just sounds like they're repeating back and forth. Maybe Brian, can you mute your mic so we can hear her?
Sure.
I was just saying, implied in fact doesn't have any written agreement. So I agree with you that them taking the money and making the appointment is the conduct, which is what that's all about.
I see what you mean, but I thought I would, stress the other variables that are in this situation, so as to flesh out our argument about why they violated the contract.
So are you just wanting to add more to the example situation, or are you wanting to do something with the question?
I'm saying for the purposes of the paper having covered every angle on it, because they've certainly, I don't know what end result you got from that other than they refunded you your money. But there's angles that they could have, if it had gone to a litigation setting where you were having your lawyers meet in this case, it's because they wouldn't refund the money, then what are the possible like paths and arguments to take for both sides of that? Saying, okay, well, they gave money, but they didn't have any kind of written contract. They just accepted, and other things like that. I mean, yes, it's an if-so contract, but you know what I mean. It's like there's the angles on how this gets proceeded forward with, rather than just the end result of a refund. So offering counter argument of how they and the doctor's office and you, the person receiving services, can argue this. I don't know, maybe I'm overcomplicating it.
I'm at a loss how to word the actual question here. Does that seem to cover what you were talking about, Ben? As far as fleshing out the situation? No written or verbal contract is made regarding a guarantee to be seen or a guarantee for a refund?
Let me try switching to my computer, because I can't see it on my mobile because the screen is too small with the screen share, rather than being able to actually view the document.
Okay.
wonder if that last sentence that you wrote, the no written or verbal contract was made regarding a guarantee to be seen. If we just say something about it being contractual obligation based by conduct.
So specifying that it was by the conduct of the doctor in his office.
Yeah. Because that, I mean, the book really emphasizes that that's the basis of this implied. So I think for the others to really understand where we're going, we got to give them something.
Okay, looks like he got kicked. Let me see if I can get him back in here. Hold on just a moment. All right. So does that cover it, Melanie? Bob and Anna assume that the agreement that they made with the doctor was determined by the conduct of the doctor and his staff?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay. Which classification is subject to Bob and Anna?
Would abide by.
There we go.
Okay.
You back with us?
Yep. Still, if you can share that link to that document, that would make this a little bit easier. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll put it in the other one that you messaged me on. All right. Explanation of this one would be how should we explain that?
You could just go by what the book says, maybe, that implied in fact contracts are manifested by conduct rather than words.
Okay.
By accepting the payment and making the appointment, it was implied. An agreement was implied or something. Or if that arrangement changed, the refund would be given.
Alrighty. And one of our wrong answers we decided was going to be the implied in law.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, how large was the deposit?
It was 1,500.
I've never heard of that before, of a doctor requiring a safety deposit.
Were they an individual, like, single practice doctor, or were they based out of a hospital? That's
Based out of a hospital. There's only like 2 big hospitals where we're at, and it was the nicer one.
yeah, that's like, as a healthcare administrator, that's like really weird to hear. So
Yeah.
I'm scratching my head on that one.
Which portion of Texas are you from? I think you've told me, but I've forgotten.
I'm out in the Gilmer Longview area.
Oh, okay.
Tyler.
Yeah, I'm from Louisville, so. But I've worked for a neurosurgeon in Fort Worth.
Okay. I go up there. Well, I was just from Provo, so that's normal when I'm up in the Dallas area.
Yeah. All right. The implied in law classification would require, let's see.
It requires somebody getting some sort of benefit, which in this case, Palmer would have been denied the benefit, right? For receiving his refund.
Without any agreement, right?
Right.
Hey, Hillary. All right. What should our second answer be? Wrong answer.
I mean, could do one that's like kind of like, I don't know how to like explain it, so sorry, it's just taking me a minute. It could just be like a very broad, kind of a dumber question, and it could just be along the lines of, well, if it was talked about, what kind of agreement would it have been? Wouldn't it have just been a regular contract, or if it was written out? You know, kind of like the differences between them.
An express contract.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Does that work, Hillary?
For the wrong answer, number 3, you can use quasi-contract because it's just another term for implied in-law contract.
All right, we'll do that.
Looks great to me so far.
All right, and that's it. Does anybody see anything that we need to go back over or adjust?
No, looks good to me.
And does anybody have any other questions about assignments or anything? Any other stuff you'd like to bring out?
So next week we have meetings, right?
Looks like you're up now.
So I assume that you're submitting this on our behalf after each meeting that we're having. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you.
For next week, are we just meeting longer on Tuesday to get the presentation done, or how would everyone like to do that?
I have to work overnight that night, so I need to be to work by 8:00 p.m. So I don't know if we can meet early or maybe be more prepared. I'd be happy to work ahead, but I would have to leave by 7:45.
I got no problem meeting earlier. Earlier is fine with me.
Earlier works for me as well.
Me too.
My wife is actually having the baby this weekend.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna try really hard not to disappear. But if I'm hit and miss, that's my excuse. But I'm gonna try really hard. So
Excused.
Yeah, that is the acceptable excuse.
I will try and be there on time, but I can't guarantee it. I usually get off work at 5:30, which is 6:30 your guys' time. So if I'm a few minutes late, just please forgive me. But yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll meet a little earlier. It's not an issue. Figure it out.
All right. And I think, I mean, even if we can't meet at the same time, so long as we have, like, if we can work on the presentation beforehand, take a look at it over the weekend or earlier, we can coordinate over Hangouts or something like that to get it done. We just have to submit it by Thursday night, so. Anyway.
Really, no, it's not actually due this Thursday. I thought it was due this Thursday, so.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of not helping any discussion on this, but we're good.
Yeah. There's an assignment that you can upload every single week, but only the people that are assigned to that week need to, if that makes sense. So on week 5, there's another group presentation upload, and we will need to submit it on that one. But every other week to week 7, I think, is how long it runs. We won't need to. Anyway.
So we're meeting, I'm sorry, what time again on Tuesday? Next Tuesday?
Do we want to say like 5:30, or what can you guys do? Because I don't work that day.
I can do any time.
What about you?
Anytime.
You're here.
You know, some of us could meet a little earlier and get going, and then when the rest are able to meet, we could finalize stuff. I don't know if that's an option, or if you want to just hammer it out at one time.
Works with me.
I'm okay with that.
That way, when David gets there, we could just kind of fill him in and wrap up.
Sounds good. If you want to send out an email or a Hangouts message when you get started, we can see how many people are available and get it going.
Okay. I'm going to shoot for probably 3 o'clock,
Okay,
if that sounds okay.
works for me.
Okay.
All right, that's it. And nobody has anything else that we need to talk about. Go ahead and end the broadcast.
I'm sorry, what time was that again, Melanie?
I was
3
thinking we could
o'clock.
start at 3. Then we could finalize everything, and then when David gets on, maybe we could just record the presentation rather than talking about it and then recording it. Does that make sense?
Like I said, sounds good to me. I think that'll work. We can go ahead and you can put that in Google Docs, and we can all work on it in the week. So that way, it's all up at least for the kids.
All right, sounds like a plan.
So who will set up the Google Doc? I'll send out the Hangouts invite.
It sounds like we'll have a couple different assignments that we need to work on, but I can suggest the regular one.
Okay.
All right. We can coordinate as it comes up or email. That's all right with everybody.
Sounds good. So this is Tuesday, 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, right?
Yes. All righty, everybody. Have a good week then.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right. Bye.